Kim? Yes, sir.
Otis, you crazy mother.
So, today's problem is, there are always problems with narrowboats. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. If it's not another thing, it's something else. Today, engine problems. I recently did an oil change. Now I have to do another oil change because I have discovered some water is in with the oil. Now, some water may have splashed down my exhaust because I'm moored on a lake, and when it's windy, water laps up the side of the boat. Very windy in the marina today. Actually, it looks like the sea. Splashing away. Look over there, look, big waves splashing. And I could have got maybe an egg cup amount of water, or possibly even half a pint of water down my exhaust. My exhaust runs down towards the engine and then just sits there where the valves go up and down. And when the engine is not moving, obviously, one or more of the valves will be open, so water gets in. Then when you start the engine, which sounded fine, it ran, but loads of water went out of the exhaust in a spectacular fashion, and I thought, uh-oh, I better turn off my engine here. After turning off the engine, letting it cool down, checking the oil, water in the oil. So that means that water has gotten into one of the cylinders or more of the cylinders and has combined with the oil to create a foamy mess. Now I have to drain everything out of there, put in some flushing oil to flush it all through, and then do another oil change and filter change. So I'm off now to get another filter. Sometimes living on a boat is hard. Sometimes things happen when you're away from your boat, you don't even know they've happened. And sometimes things, just when you don't need another problem, things happen. Water leaks, engine problems. Really, the secret to living on a boat is not to ask the universe for it to be easy. You ask the universe for the strength to endure the problems that you encounter. Because if you live on a boat, you're always going to have a few problems. Well, off to Hoddesdon to get an oil filter. Happy Hoddesdon, happy Hoddesdon. One of the problems I encounter with most chandleries is that they don't always stock the parts that you need. Sometimes they don't have filters, sometimes they don't have the oil that you need, so you do have to source them from other places. So I usually try and find out who's supplying them and then go and buy it direct. That's why I come to this place. A little gift from a friend of mine in the NHS. we're in. I got some oil, I got some filters, I got some gunk. This is really good stuff for cleaning engines. Some nappies. Now, the nappies are good if you've got water in your bilges that you can't get out by any other means. But don't leave it in there too long, or it bursts and just gorges its gel contents all inside your bilges, and then you have to scrape that out. You could use a more natural method, like maybe cat litter or wood chips. They soak up the water pretty good in your bilges, and then you can just hoover it out. That is a more natural alternative. But nappies are good for small spills. So, step number one, run the engine up to temperature about 10 minutes. Then you're going to want to get all of the oil out of the sump. Now, with a conventional car or lorry, you would just undo the sump plug and have it all drain out. You can't do that in a canal boat, because where's the oil going to go? It's just going to go inside the boat. So with most canal boats, you have connected to the sump plug, you have like a little pump. My one looks like this, and you will pump all of the oil out of there now into some sort of a receptacle, like an old oil can is perfect. And also refer to the engine specifications for the type of oil and how much oil goes back in. You're also going to want to take off the oil filter and replace it before you put the new oil back in. Now, I've just had a look at my dipstick, and as you can see, it's still a little bit foamy. Now, the first time I checked that, it looked like the inside of a Milky Way. Very, very creamy, and that is not good. If you check your oil before you run your engine and the oil is kind of creamy, it could be a blown head gasket. Now, that is a completely different situation to what I've got here. If you've got water getting between the head gasket and then mixing with the oil, that is a more serious problem, usually due to overheating. Okay, now in order to double check that it wasn't a head gasket, I called in a local mechanic, and he did a crack test and a head gasket seal test. It wasn't the head gasket. Phew! Head gaskets are expensive. Okay, if I wanted a whole new head for this engine, it would cost maybe £1,700. That's £700 just for the head. Okay, most of the time they will take it out, they will skim the head, take off the head gasket, and then clamp it back down with a new head gasket kit. But the labor costs really are expensive. The actual kit itself isn't that expensive. It's just the hours it takes to take something out of a canal boat, machine skim the metal, and then clamp it all back down again. That's what takes the time, and that's what ends up costing a lot of money. But thank the universe, it's not my head gasket. Now, I've got to get out the last little bit of water that's in my sump, because unfortunately oil floats on the top of water. Damn you, science! So any water that's gone into the sump now will just lay at the bottom of my sump, and it will take quite a few oil changes and filter changes to get it out. This is what came out. Don't know if you can see in there. Oh, still a little bit creamy, isn't it? Yeah, you see, oil shouldn't really look that creamy. Now a few tips on using flushing oil. You're going to want to pour in 3/4 of the sump capacity for your engine. So if you have, say, in my case, a 3.5 litres of oil go into it, you're only maybe going to want to pour in up to about 3 litres of flushing oil. You're then going to need to run it for about 10 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, run it up to temperature, and then pump it all out again and change the filter. Now, thankfully, I've already done that. Remember, you don't want to run your engine for too long with flushing oil, because flushing oil has a lower viscosity. It's thinner, basically, but it will tend to flush out all that nastiness. Oh yeah, another handy thing to have: oil cloths. These are great. They soak up just the oil and kind of repel water. I don't know how it works. If you're messing around with undoing a filter, oil will go everywhere, so pop one of these underneath it when you take it off so that the oil goes into the cloth and doesn't end up all in your bilges. Now the oil filter's on there quite tight, so necessity being the mother of this lovely little invention. Maybe I should do it this way around. Turn it like that and it takes the oil filter off. I always try and make sure that all the filters or anything on my engine is hand tightened to my strength. Same goes with things like gas bottles. If you have someone put a gas bottle on your boat and they tighten it up, then when it comes to you changing it, it might be a bit of a nightmare. Always make sure anything, water pipes, oil pipes, filters, anything, is tightened to your strength. Now we've got the filter off, we can see what's in it. It's horrible. So, a new filter and some new oil should sort that out. But unfortunately you've got to just keep doing oil changes until you get all of the water out of there, because you don't really want water mixing with oil. Over time that could just start to rust the inside of your engine. Not good. And now a quick word on filters. Filters you can pick up reasonably cheap. Primary, secondary filters, fuel lift pump filters and oil filters are all reasonably cheap. So have a good stock of them. You'll be surprised at how many little things could go wrong, potentially go wrong with your engine, simply because the filter is full of rubbish. If you change filters regularly, make sure that everything in your engine, all the fluids in your engine are maintained and topped up and checked, then your canal boat will live a long and happy life and will give you lots of pleasure. If you leave your canal boat engine in a marina or somewhere on the towpath 4 months on end and don't run it, then that time you really need it to start because you really need to move your boat. It might give you problems. Another tip, when you are replacing your oil filter, put a little bit of oil around this rubber seal. Very, very important. That means that it will make it easier for you to undo it when it comes to change your filter next time. Now, to make sure no water went back down my exhaust, I thought maybe if I put a cork from a Keys float in there, that might stop water going down there. But in the end, I just got a Sea Searcher Sequest magnet and just stuck it to the side of my boat to make sure no more water went back down my exhaust. Tools down, job done. It's starting to get a bit windy out there, so I've come in because it was getting cold. Also, I checked the dipstick before I came back in, and now it looks like there's more oil in there than cream, so another good thing. One extra little tip, once you have changed the oil, make sure you run your engine again, just for 5-10 minutes again, to let the new oil circulate all around the engine, so it'll be tip-top for when you start it again. And I'm glad that this happened, really, because it's allowed me to service my engine properly, check the air filter as well, and now she sounds good and proper for when I take her for a run down to Little Venice, which will be very soon because I'll be performing at the Little Venice Cavalcade. If you are around Little Venice, around the bank holiday this May, then come on down to Rembrandt Gardens and catch me doing my Mylo Small Show, a juggling kind of mime show for kids. I'll put links in the description about that. Anyway, that's all for this week's vlog, and happy boating. Bye bye. Time for cake.